I just got started cutting the fender for my Squarebody. This is an Auto Metal Direct fender, and they offer two different tiers. This is the better quality tier, and I was actually surprised how thin it is. I was hoping it was going to be thicker. I know a lot of people say they are thin, but the Auto Metal Direct fenders are supposed to be some of the best quality you can get for the aftermarket, out of all the aftermarket fenders, and especially being that they offer two different tiers, and this is the better one. I figured it would be better, but anyway, the fender had a dent in it, and I kind of hacked it up to see how I would like it cutting into the fender, and basically bringing that piece back to try and make it look like it hadn't been cut instead of just hacking the bottom of the fender off. So anyway, I cut 1.5 inches out, and it was pretty much right up against the inner fender. So what I did, this side is done. I took 1 3/16 inches out, and I think it worked out pretty well. It's plenty of room for me to clear my tires, and I like that it isn't slammed right up, and there's some room. You can take the inner fender out if you needed to, and it'll work well for me. I also didn't I figured the least you go is probably better as far as it not looking modified, and that was kind of my goal, was to not hack it up and make it look like it hadn't been done, and have my tires clear. So that was the end result. You can see there's a wave in the filler here. It turned out pretty well up to here, and I think I just put too much heat in it around here, and it crinkled the basically factory like body line here. And I also kinked it because I didn't cut enough out of the inner wall of the fender, and I didn't really know how hard I could push it and have it not bend or kink, and it kinked. So I know better on this one what I can get away with, and it's a little thinner anyway, so it'll probably bend easier. This one is an aftermarket fender, but I think it was from like the 90s, and it's definitely thicker. So it was I'm assuming that one will bend quite a bit easier, but I'll put a picture in the video of the truck outside and kind of standing back so you can see what the slope looks like. I think it looks pretty good, and it really isn't that noticeable, and it is nice to have a bigger wheel well for a bigger tire. These just don't have very big wheel wells from the factory, and it's tough to fit a big tire without cutting it or going really high with your lift. So it had a 6-inch lift. That was a super lift, and they cleared. These are 35s. They cleared fine. Those are they're stiffer springs and a bigger lift, so the tire never got into the fender. But now I've got 4-inch off-road design custom leaf springs that are super soft, and the tires just get right up into the fender. So I either was going to cut my fenders or get smaller tires, and I like the look of the tires with this lift size just sitting stationary, but when you flex it all, even just leaving the driveway, it would rub. So because I liked the look of the lift, and because the tires are great tread. They probably only have a couple thousand miles on them. They're 6 years old or something, but I didn't want to take them off and sell them for whatever, $500, $600, and then go and spend 13 or so on 33s. So, and then the whole hassle of getting them mounted and all the things. These have beads in them, not weights, because the sticky weights fell off right after I took them home. So anyway, it's a whole thing. So I figured I'd just cut the fenders. I needed to replace this fender because it had a dent in it anyway. So that's where I'm at on this project. One thing I did forget to mention is that obviously you have to cut this inner wall, and that's the trickier part because it has so much more angle to it. So you're trying to get your distance here, but you don't know how much to cut. And then because the angles are different, when you have this closed up, you're going to have a space back there because it doesn't bend at the same rate because it has so much more of a slope to this. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but I just have to bend this piece a little bit to get it to weld here. But then the back, when I cut it the same amount to get it to come in my 1 3/16, it is at a different elevation and then has a big gap. So I made it the best that I could on this one. And I guess it's good enough that you can't see it because it gets dark, but it's not great. And there you go, you can kind of see. So my plan for that is to wire brush it some and then put some seam sealer in there, and I think that'll be enough to be good for what I'm doing. I've got the backside cut out, and I've got it all, the paint all ground off where I gotta weld it. I'm gonna have to cut more out of the back. You can see that lip on the inside there is hitting the lip on the inside here, and I just kind of guessed at how much I had to cut out back there, and I'm just gonna kind of shave as I need to and keep plopping the fender over back and forth. And but it works out pretty well to start. I could probably cut a little bit more out of the that's pretty good. I can basically start working my way down to right around there, and that's when I'm gonna have to start working this in there and cutting some out of the back. But I'm gonna get started, and then I'll be able to work it down the line. And I like that it moves right over nicely, and I didn't kink it, so as long as I jump around and don't put too much heat into it, I should be all right. So try to get it all welded up and make it nice so I can save time on the filler. Taking my time here, getting it welded up, jumping around, trying not to put too much heat into it. I pretty much will do like 5 little tacks, maybe like here, 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 and there, and then I'll give it some time, let it sit a minute, maybe 2, and then do it again. I could probably put a little bit more heat into it than that, but it already has a dimple kind of starting in here. But other than that, it turned out, so far it's turning out better than the other side because I didn't get any creases in it, and I don't see any obvious waves in my seam from the heat. So slowly but surely, I had to make 3 little cuts here to get this bent out, and I made this really not look great in the inside here, but I'm not going to spend the time to make it perfect. So I've just got it kind of tacked and ground down rough, and I'm just gonna go with seam sealer in there. The inner fender will probably actually cover a lot of that, and I'm not really too worried about it. I think that it's inside the fender, so you won't really see it much, if at all. And I'll put seam sealer there, and it's gonna get undercoated, and you're never gonna see it, never gonna know. And I think it'll be just fine. So that's how it's turning out. I've got it all welded and ground down, and I sanded just the area that I'm going to put Bondo on for now. I just used 150. A lot of this is pretty good. I might put just a touch on just to try to smooth things out. And then it kind of had a high spot right here from the heat, so I knocked it down and have a little dimple I need to fill. And then same kind of thing here. This area is a little high from the heat, so I'm just gonna put a little filler in just to fill this little kind of the toe of the weld. It is low right there, but the factory line is still proud, so I'll pretty much just kind of blend that all in. And it's a little low in here, so some filler in here, and really it doesn't need much, just to try to make it look like it never happened. working on filler and sanding. This is the second coat of Bondo that I put on. The first one you can see here I've sanded, and there's a low spot here. I forgot to hit this little ding in it, so I hit that. I put a little here where I made slices in it and welded it to try to get this filled in. I'm not worried too much about making this look perfect because you can see the different spot welds in the fender anyway, so just want it to look decent. And a couple little spots here and there, but getting it filled in, sanded, and I don't think I'm too far. Hopefully this will turn out well, but I think it might be a little low in here still, so I'm sure I'll probably end up getting into one more real light coat, but coming along. I've got the fender all primed and painted. It's been sitting here in the sun for, I don't know, dry for a few hours now. I don't know if the camera captures it. You can see some things in the paint, little things here and there. I didn't get the bodywork perfect, but I think overall it looks pretty good. You can see some standing marks. I didn't go, I hit it with 150. I did all my body work with, sanding the Bondo, and then I went over it with 320. And in a perfect world, I probably would have had a step in between there and maybe sanded a little more with the 320. But the marks are faint. You have to look for them. But I think overall, I mean, it's going to look far better than the rest of the truck, and I don't think anyone's really going to even notice that fender is cut. Here is the finished product of the cut fender on my Squarebody. It really isn't very noticeable, and I am happy about that. I'm not a professional body guy, so when you look at it in the right lighting, you can see that there's stuff going on in here where I did the filler. But as far as the slope of the fender coming down, it doesn't catch your eye, and I don't think anyone would know unless they really are looking closely, or they have another truck beside it to compare it to. I think in time it'll fade because there's no clear coat on it, and I can also polish basically the rest of the truck, and that'll help blend it all together really pretty well. So that will help, but I think it looks a lot better than just kind of hacking your corners off like lots of people do. And if you kind of have something that isn't a woods rig, but you want bigger tires, or if you have flexible suspension like I do, and you don't want to run really small tires that will not get up into your fenders, because these fenders are obviously square and not the biggest. So anyway, I think it's a good way to go in the right circumstance. It is a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, but it is kind of unique, and can decide for yourself if it's something that you might want to do on your truck. But there isn't a lot out there for it, and people have done it, so hopefully someone can get something out of this.